Hello and welcome once again to the Cory Sauter Show here on Studio One. I'm Kelly Loft, Athletic Communications Director at Southwest Minnesota State University. And again, it's another week as we talk Mustang football, as we are joined by the head coach of the Mustangs, Cory Sauter, as the Mustangs come off a 30-14 loss to Bemidji State. We'll take a look at those highlights and preview this week's game versus Augustana down in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, coming up on the 25th of September. And joining us, as always, on the show is the head coach, Cory Sauter. And again, the Mustangs lose their first game of the season to Bemidji State. 30-14 was the final score. It was a tale of two halves for the Mustangs. They led 14-12 at halftime, but Bemidji State answered back in the second half, scoring 18 unanswered points, and they get the victory 30-14 over the Mustangs. And Coach, just like I mentioned, a tale of two different halves. You played a very good first half and took the lead. You had some scoring drives. You forced some turnovers, but Bemidji's ground attack really took over there in the second half and kept your offense on the field and really wore down our defense.
Well, you're absolutely right. It was definitely a tale of two halves. We played pretty well in that first half. We had some opportunities to possibly put even more points on the board, but the good thing is we weren't turning the ball over a whole lot, and we were capitalizing on their turnovers. And so that's really Mustang football, what we're about. We're trying to really capitalize on any mistakes that other opponents may have. And in that second half, we just ran out of gas, and especially that third quarter when they decided to run the football. That's a tough feeling, knowing that you can't stop the run when the game's on the line. So, we've got a long ways to go, but I was definitely proud of our guys' effort. It wasn't a question at all about effort. It was just about that third and fourth quarter we just ran out of gas, and we just had to find a way to maximize in those situations.
Well, you did exactly what you wanted to do in that first half. You set up a trick play that nearly worked. You really had the Beavers. They were biting there on the reverse, and pass by Nate Fickey just went a little bit too far in front of the receiver. But that's been something that you've worked on for quite a while in practice, and you just don't know exactly when you're going to run it, but you found the time was right at that particular time in that first quarter.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it was a play that we practiced for at least 2 years now. Even when Coach Eisnes was here, we repped it quite a bit throughout the year, and we just never dialed it up. And I told our guys that we were gonna call it probably within the first 5 plays of the game, and so our guys were ready to go to execute it. We had a great sell. We had great blocking up front. Finke came around, and Finke isn't the tallest guy, and to be honest with you, he probably didn't even see Gannon Moore going down the sideline. He just had to essentially throw it to where he thought Gannon was going to be, and so we just missed just by a hair on that play. And again, it was more than anything, at least got Bemidji to think about, okay, we're coming. We're going to be bringing in pretty much everything in our arsenal this game, and so that was that nice part of the play.
Well, the Mustangs were not able to score on that particular drive, but the Mustang defense, which they have here in the last few weeks, has forced some turnovers, and they forced one on the first Bemidji State possession as their quarterback, Derek Edholm, was sacked by Nick DeCaniva. Fumble, Logan Van Dyke recovered it, and that set the Mustangs up in great field position, and you guys took advantage of it and scored on a great throwback, Ryan Radican to Shane Ladegi.
Right, and it all starts with our defense being able to stop them and creating a turnover deep in their territory. We hit a nice wheel route down the right sideline to kind of set that up. We followed that up with another run play, which was stuffed, and then we were on the left hash, which actually we wanted to be on the left hash to run this play. A sprint out to the right. It's just an easier throw for a quarterback, and it was well developed, and our guys were very patient with it. And really, the only thing we were worried about is our offensive linemen getting in the way, because we had 2 offensive linemen out front. We just were hoping that they wouldn't make the tackle as opposed to their guy.
Yes, and the Mustangs took the lead 7-0. Bemidji did rally and took a 12-7 lead in the second quarter, but then you put together your most impressive drive of the game, driving down the field 73 yards in 10 plays, and a great pass from Radican to Gannon Moore gave the Mustangs a 14-12 lead. And you had some momentum heading into the halftime break, and really a nice pass. And when Ryan gets time to throw the football, he's pretty accurate. Some of the best throws, in the last year and a half in the conference.
Right, and you said it best. If you give Ryan time, he's about as good as they come in this conference. And we had a nice blocks up front with their offensive line. They didn't bring really any pressure on the play, and we went ahead and hit Gannon down the right sideline on a wheel route. We like that matchup. We tend to think that our running back on a linebacker is a good matchup regardless of who we play, and Gannon did a nice job. That's kind of the first time we hit him on a deeper route this year, and he had great concentration. He beat the guy and was able to capitalize by getting by him by a step or two.
And a nice game for Gannon. He led the team in rushing as well. You were without Warren Matthews, your other starting tailback who started the first two games, and Gannon really was a force out of the backfield catching the football as well. 5 receptions, a career high, and 70-plus yards receiving.
Right, and that's kind of what our offense is about. At the past 2 seasons, we always incorporate our running backs in our passing attack, and it was nice to be able to see Gannon step up in that role. Had that big third down conversion where he was able to get a nice chunk of yards, and those types of plays are going to gain confidence in his eyes, and really our quarterback and our offense as well. And so it was just nice to see that him stepping up, coming from normally a backup running back spot.
Yeah, it's 5 receptions for Gannon, 75 yards in the touchdown. He also had 38 yards rushing on 15 attempts. Passing-wise, Ryan Radican, 19 of 37. 2 touchdown passes. He did have a couple of interceptions as well. But you get that halftime lead. You're up 14-12. They always talk about the first possession, the second half is one of the most important in the game, and your defense gets a 3-and-out. And just unfortunately, your offense went 3-and-out, and 3 run plays were stuffed on a 3rd and short. And
right.
If that was the turning point, who knows? But Bemidji gets the ball back, then they run the ball down, and had a nice drive and regained the lead. But that might have been a big turning point in the contest.
Right, and a football game has a lot of momentum, tied with it, and we had momentum going into halftime. We talked to our guys about that, using that to our advantage, coming out, getting the 3-and-out, which is exactly what we did on defense. Offensively, when you get down 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, we really put the pressure on our offensive line to really make something happen there. And for whatever reason, we weren't able to get the conversion there, and again, they got momentum back with their program, and once they scored that first touchdown in the 3rd quarter, things started to change, and we realized that we're in for a battle, and we knew that going into it, but we had to kind of reel back from that incident.
Well, the Mustangs fell behind and were not able to regain the lead as the Beavers scored a couple of touchdowns, took a 28-14 lead, then forced a safety situation, intentional grounding in the end zone, which was a tough call for SMSU. There might have been a guy there, who knows, maybe out of the pocket, but regardless, Bemidji gets the 30-14 lead, and they then earn the victory over the Mustangs, SMSU's first loss. A couple of individual performances, Cory, that were very good in this ball game. Again, Nick DeCaneva all over the place defensively. Again, a career-high 14 tackles. Second straight week, he's had 14 tackles, and 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. He forced 2 fumbles. I'm sure if the Mustangs would have won the football game, probably would have been player of the week in the conference, but an unbelievable performance by Nick. He's really played well, and that's what you expect out of a senior.
Yeah, Nick has really stepped up to the table, and he's not the biggest linebacker. He actually lost some weight this offseason, and we were a little bit concerned about that going into this year, but he has definitely played up to his role as a senior. And one thing about Nick is he's very fast, very explosive, high energy guy, and he thrives on making plays. And you'll see on the clips here, he's making plays coming from the backside away from the play and making the hits and creating fumbles. So we're excited about his play, and hopefully his play is going to elevate everybody else around him.
And on the offensive side of the ball, Mustang offensive line, you kind of you're not 100% healthy, but good to see John Brinkman back in the lineup, and Brian Millar played, and your starting five that you thought you'd have maybe 3-4 weeks ago did get to all play, and again, not 100%, but good to see the offensive line pretty much intact again.
Right, and like you said, they're not 100% right now, but the good thing is continuity goes a long way, and making calls and understanding what the guy next to him is going to do and how they react to those certain blocks. So that's going to help us more than anything, is keeping those 5 guys healthy and keeping them together. And so they did a much better job as far as keeping the pass rush out and actually open up some holes as well, especially to Rodas' side.
Yes, and the Mustangs do fall again 30-14 to Bemidji State. The Beavers, a team that received votes and were ranked in some preseason top 25 polls, a very good football team, and they showed it. And that's a winning streak now for the Beavers. They've had the Mustangs number, similar to the team that we're going to play this week in Augustana, and we'll talk about that. But the Beavers get the win in front of a nice Smoke Fest crowd at the Regional Event Center. Let's take a look at some of the highlights here from last Saturday's game at the Regional Event Center. As you mentioned, Smoke Fest crowd, and we start off with the defensive side, and here is that sack by Nick DeCaniva and the fumble recovered by Logan Van Dyke. And Nick right up the middle, and one of his 2 sacks.
Yeah, he just essentially came untouched up the middle. And again, this really creates, obviously field position, and we thrive on this offensively if we can get a short field. But Nick's coming through, makes a big hit. Our guys are around the football to make the fumble recovery.
And the Mustangs were able to take advantage of it. We continue on the offensive side of things, and here's Ryan Radican, a long pass to Nate Finke.
Yeah, but we've got 3 receivers to the right. We've got 2 posts going to the field, and we've got a wheel route going down the sideline. You can see on this play we get great protection, and we get Finke going down the sideline, and it's a tremendous throw. You can see here Ryan has time to step into the throw and drive it, and we make the nice conversion. And
that set up this 12-yard touchdown reception for Shane Ladegi, the tight end. The direction goes to the right, and it comes back the other side.
Yeah, we got full flow to the right. We throw back to our tight end. We got 2 offensive linemen in front of him, and that was just my only concern, is him getting tripped up for some reason by one of our offensive linemen. But it's a play that we've been practicing for weeks. We're just kind of waiting for the right time to call it. And again, they're pretty aggressive defense, so we wanted to kind of thrive off of that end of it and end up getting a score early in the game.
That made it 7-0 in favor of the Mustangs. And to the defensive side, John Kirschberg in a tackle for loss, and Paul Mickey and Ben Peterson helping out as well.
Really, we got full flow. Go ahead and get the guy in the backfield, and we can see a bunch of Mustangs just flying to the football. Good things happen, and the nice thing is Kirschbergen's been very solid on the outside linebacker position. Doesn't get blocked, he avoids getting blocked, and makes a nice play.
We continue on the defensive side. We go now to the second quarter, and Randy Erickson with the sack and forces a fumble, and again the defense stepping up and forcing a turnover.
Yep, and this is, again, we got to have more and more of these, and our defense has really been helping us out. Just getting turnovers deep within their end of the field, and that's going to be critical for us to be successful here down in the future.
And you'll see Randy Erickson in the tackle position. He's number 97. The Mustangs in the all gold uniforms, and Randy on the left side tackle position strips the ball, and the Mustangs kind of sat around for a long time, but there was John Kirschbergen to recover it. Now back to the offense, and we talked about Gannon Morris, some big plays out of the backfield, and here's one right here for 25 yards.
Yep, we kind of caught him in 2-man coverage, which is just too deep, and man coverage underneath, and no one actually covered Gannon out of the backfield, which obviously we're excited that they had a little bit of confusion there, and Ryan had made a nice throw and let him get yards after the catch.
Again, Gannon Moore with 5 receptions. Mustangs needed to pick up a 4th down conversion on this scoring drive, and a big one here from Radican to Lodegi, number 82.
Yep, we've got some routes down the field. Ryan decided to check it down to Shane. He stayed alive, and we were able to convert on this major conversion right here on this play.
Lodegi on the season, 8 catches, 64 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. And you'll see Shane here, he's number 82, just on the left side of the screen, and
he just did a nice job of keep working himself across the formation, and Ryan spotted him, made a good accurate throw.
And then the Mustangs capped the drive off with a touchdown. They took the lead here at 14-12. Gannon Moore out of the backfield, going to the bottom of the screen.
You can see him running this wheel route on the linebacker. You get a step on him, and Ryan just makes a perfect throw, and that was really nice to see. Obviously, momentum going into the second half. But once we get down the red zone, we will definitely take shots and try to put 7 points on the board if at all possible.
Perfect pass for Radican. He had time to throw. The Mustangs take a 14-12 lead into halftime, have the momentum, and we talked about the defense gets a stop on a 3-and-out in the first possession. The Beavers, they'll come back, and then we're able to score. But here is Nick DeCaniva forcing a fumble. The Beavers were able to come up with it, but they're making a play again.
Absolutely, and this is what I was talking about before, Kelly, is you'll see from the tight copy, you'll see DeCaniva coming from the weak side linebacker position, coming all the way across the field and making the big hit. And again, we like our guys to make sure that they're flowing to the football and really swarming and attacking and creating things. You can see him on the right side of the screen here, coming across, avoiding getting blocked, and putting his helmet right on the football and creating the fumble.
And again, chance for the Mustangs, but Bemidji did hang on to the football. And
yeah.
We go back to the offensive side, and that would have been a big stop there. That defense, obviously, a third turnover would have been huge in the contest. It did not happen, but the Mustangs do come back on offense, and Ryan Radican finding Cal Kamiskas out of the backfield, the fullback.
Yep, we've got a play-action naked pass, and we hit our fullback coming across the formation. Again, once you get some of your runs going, these sorts of plays are going to happen for you. We get a nice fake to Gannon coming around the edge, hit our fullback coming out in the flat.
Still some more offense here in the third quarter. Ryan Radican finding Sean Patrick O'Leary. And this is coming off a holding penalty on SMSU, and he answered right back. Yeah,
but we ended up getting a holding call on this, and we ended up getting hit on the play. Ball goes in the air. We make the reception. It would have been a nice turning point for us, but the nice thing, is still we're able to make a play. It was just sometimes you're going to get a questionable call, and sometimes we got called there on our left tackle. It was probably a questionable call, but I'd much rather have that type of penalty than a false start or something else.
And here's the play I was talking about. There was a penalty. Now he came right back and got the first down. Sean Younger with the reception, his first two in this contest, and a 20-yard reception.
Yep, and this is the exact same play that we ran early in the game where we got intercepted and had the play wide open earlier and came back to it, and Ryan did a nice job as far as getting a nice play-action fake, stepping up in the pocket. We get good protection, and being able to get Younger across the field was a big play for us.
Younger, one of the two true freshmen playing for SMSU this season. And then the fourth quarter, Robbie Slinkman, having a nice senior season, gets a sack, number 35 on the, I believe on the bottom of the screen, or one of our defensive ends, and he'll get the sack.
Yep, he comes untouched. Yep, he comes untouched up top, and really our defense didn't have a whole lot of possession. We're on the field a whole lot in the fourth quarter simply because we were running our 2-minute offense most of that fourth quarter. And
Slinkman doing his job, staying home, not going after that play fake, and gets the sack. And the Mustangs were able to get a stop there, and that is the final score. Mustangs do lose 30-14, and again, a very good first half against a team that's been a thorn in the side for the Mustangs over the years. But again, Bemidji gets the victory. So Southwest drops to 2-1 overall and 1-1 in the Northern Sun Conference. And coaches talk about, we did get some guys back, but pretty much injury-free after this ball game. Now that you've had a couple days to heal guys up.
Yeah, we came out fairly healthy. There's going to be a few guys that are going to be questionable. We'll find out more probably tomorrow. But for the most part, we didn't have any major injuries to worry about.
And again, you've got a lot of different guys playing in some, not different roles, but you got a guy like Phil Brado, who was a third-string tailback with Warren Matthews out. Phil got some carries, and for being such a big guy, is a good blocker at times, but he's got some mobility as well, and he proved it on some of those rushes, and good to see him be able to fill in for an injury to Warren Matthews.
Right, absolutely. Last year he essentially, the spring, he's been a fullback for us, and kind of more of your mobile type fullback, and with the situation we're at going into fall camp, he essentially became our third running back, and one thing about him is he's probably one of our strongest players on our football team. Can bench over 400 pounds, can run. So if you're in a short yard situation, he's a tough guy to bring down, and we're definitely excited about him filling that role.
And then we talked about the defensive side of things. Nick DeConeva had a very good game once again, and your linebackers, and also your safety positions. Joe Stupka had a nice ball game as well, and a younger player, but really making some plays on the defensive side and help fill in the gaps for those linebackers.
Really, they are, and both those safeties, Reef and Stupka, they've done a nice job as far as getting our defense set, getting the calls out. We had the questionable call as far as Stupka, but I'd much rather have those guys play aggressive instead of being passive, and for the most part, they've been doing that all year long.
Well, one thing we'll talk about Augustana here in just a couple of minutes. That's this week's game down in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. But I want to touch in kind of off of the game day talk of football. But we mentioned during fall camp kind of your weekly plan for your coaches and whatnot, but kind of give the fans an idea of what goes on behind the scenes for your coaches, maybe on a Saturday night, even on Sunday. You talked about how the players, you have some meetings on Sunday, you give them Monday off, but kind of talk about what happens after the ball game, that it's not just go home and enjoy it. Sometimes it is for some of the coaches, but there's a lot of work behind the scenes to get ready for you when you come into the office on Sunday morning.
Right, and one of the first things that happens after the football game is we have to collect all the film, break it down, offense, defense, and specialty, and really get all that organized. And that's not, it's easier said than done. It takes some time. We have to actually download that and get it to the conference so that other teams can use that information as well. So that's usually done Saturday night or early Sunday morning. That's the first thing that gets done. Then on Sunday, we come in as a coaching staff. We grade the film individually, so I will grade the quarterbacks, Coach Gunther will coach the defensive backs, so on and so forth. We will do that individually for a couple hours. After that, then we meet as a staff. We go through each position, how they played, and then what we'll do is watch the film as a unit. Okay, so offensively we'll watch it as a group, defensively we'll watch it as a group, as a coaching staff, and then later that afternoon we'll watch it with the players. So really, coaches, we get to watch it really 3 times before the end of the day, and that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
On a good day it's fun to watch, on a bad day it drives you nuts towards the end of the day, but it's something that needs to be done, and corrections need to be made, and they also need to see the good things that they've done as well. So, but it's a long process on Sunday, just simply because we want to make sure that we're done with that football game before we move on to the next one, and then obviously they have off on Monday.
Yeah, and it's not only when you say grade the film, I mean, you're kind of watching every player, and they're getting, I mean, the film doesn't lie very often, does it?
It doesn't.
The guys, they have a question, well, what do you mean I didn't do this? Well, we'll show you right here.
Yeah, but we really grade on 3 different things. We grade on effort, okay, we grade on technique, and we grade on their assignment, okay? So their finished grade is simply doing their, going from whistle to whistle, and so that's pretty easy to grade. They're either going or they're not. Technique is really the little things physically that they need to do to be successful at their position, and then also the actual grade itself for the play. We have to know, did they actually know what they were doing? Did they block the right person? Did they make the right read? Okay, and so we will collect all that information and give them a assignment grade, a finish grade, a technique grade, and then an overall grade. Okay, so there's a lot that goes into it, but we want to find out exactly where our deficiencies are, where we need to improve, and that's an ongoing process each and every week, and we show the grades to the players so they totally understand, okay, this is where I need to work on this upcoming week.
And of course, and you're also, having your staff is watching the film of your this week's opponent, so they're breaking down games that they've done and their tendencies. So it's a pretty amazing how that works. Thank goodness for video editing systems. Can you imagine doing that 30 years ago?
Back in the day when they used to actually cut paste and all that, but then they went to VCR and then they went to DVD, and now it's really come a long ways.
Yes, it has, and it is a great technology, and that's what kind of goes on behind the scenes just on a Saturday and Sunday after a Mustang football game. Well, this week the Mustangs are on the road trying to bounce back after that loss to Bemidji State. The Mustangs take on 24th ranked Augustana College. They just moved into the top 25 on Monday, and a team coach that has had our number as well. They beat us 12 straight times. They've not beat Augustana since 1991. They're a very good team, very veteran squad at a lot of their skill positions, receivers and their running back, and some very good defensive players as well. It's going to be a challenge, something I'm sure you're looking forward to, just to see how these guys bounce back here this week in practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking about a team that beat Mary 52-21. We thought Mary was a pretty solid football team, and we were able to escape with a win there. But we definitely have our work cut out for us, and our guys aren't scared. They're not afraid of a challenge, and our guys will go back to work, and we're definitely excited about going back on the road and playing a very good quality opponent. And I'm definitely excited to get our team prepared for this upcoming game.
And I'm sure, as you talked about Saturday and on Sunday's meeting, we've got to move on. I mean, there's still 8 more games left. There's a lot of football to be played. It's a South Division opener. It was interesting. It will be curious to see how the team fights back. And the heads, I'm sure, are still pretty high, and still lots to play for this season, obviously.
Absolutely. You're talking about 2 months of football left, and so one game doesn't define your season. And we're definitely excited about continuing and playing that next game. We're only a fourth of our season is completed, so it's a long ways to go. We have a lot to prove yet, and we've got a great, talented group that really wants to do well and will do well here in the next several weeks.
Well, again, the Mustangs play in Sioux Falls against Augustana College. It's a 1 o'clock start on the campus of Augustana, and the Mustangs looking to rebound after that loss. SMSU will then return home for homecoming and Egg Bowl on October the 2nd. It'll be the first of 2 home games, home game stretch for the Mustangs, and some big, important games, obviously, to say the least. And Augustana will be a good test, a team that's played in the last couple of Minor Water Bowls and is thinking playoffs this year as well. So it should be a great test for the Mustangs Saturday in Sioux Falls against Augustana College. So that's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of the Cory Sauter Show. We appreciate you watching this week. For the head coach, Cory Sauter, I'm Kelly Loft. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time here in Studio One.